Hi, everyone. It's Daymi. I'm going to share my screen. All right. All right. And like we've been going over this week, we're going to go over Section E on the 4th edition task list, which is specific behavior change procedures. And then, as we always do, I'm going to go read the disclaimer really quick. The study group was created by and for students pursuing a BCBA, BCABA certification. None of the members in this group are BCBA, BCABAs at this time. The discussion, collaboration, questions, and suggestions during this meeting are meant to help all members have a better understanding of the BACB 4th edition task list concepts. However, it is important to note that the leaders and all members and students are responsible to verify accuracy of the information being provided in the meetings. As students in the field of ABA, we must act in a professional and ethical manner at all times. So that means that we can't, due to ethical considerations, we can't discuss any kind of questions that were any kind of paid resources. We cannot talk about any kind of clients or anything related to the clients that we have worked with. We can discuss open resources or peer-reviewed articles and books as long as we give proper credit to the author. All right, and then my next slide is announcements. Please, everyone that can do the survey so that we can figure out what task list we could review for next week. That would be good. I only have 4 people so far that have done it, but I would really like to have, I usually like to wait to have at least between 20 and 30 people respond. And the faster I can do that, the better, because it gives all the leaders enough time to prepare for their slides and everything that they have to do to prepare for the meetings. I want to give a big thank you to the new leaders, Minerva, Lara, and Mary, for volunteering and committing. Now, because of that, we now have 7 leaders, and we have Zooms every single day, which is great. I'm very proud of this. This has become more than I expected. I did not expect this, but I guess things happen for a reason. All right, so this is the new Zoom schedule. So we have every single day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those are the times in Pacific time, Central, and Eastern. I'm going to post this on the WhatsApp chat. If there's a specific thing you want to write, go ahead. You can stop me. But if not, I'm going to post it on there. So there's no need to write this down. Can I move on? Anybody have any questions?
No questions from me.
Okay. All right. And this is what I'm going to go over today on the task list. I'm going to start on E7 because yesterday we ended up on E6. So if we can just go over this really quick, that would be great. So I'm going to start here because my computer is dying and I didn't notice this, but you guys can start talking amongst yourself on E7. I wrote some notes on here, so if you guys want to take a look at it, go ahead while I get my charger. All right, sorry guys. All right, so for E7, which is Plan for Behavioral Contrast Effects. All right, so I know what behavioral contrast is. It's basically how behaviors are different in different kinds of settings. So if you have one behavior in school, then the child goes home and they have a different behavior. Something that I noticed was like, if the child wants to eat something, at home and the child screams for the item, maybe in school they'll ask nicely. But one thing I don't understand, and maybe we can go over that, is what is the difference between positive behavior contrast and negative behavior contrast? Does anybody know?
Do you have a page number for any of the resources?
Well, I found this on the BAS task list. I basically looked up what a behavior contrast was, and it was broken up into those two things. Really the only thing that was told the difference for those two was that positive behavior contrast increases behavior, and then negative behavior contrast decreases behavior. So in other words, for negative behavior contrast, an example for decreasing behavior is maybe a child reads 20 words per minute in school, and then when they go home, they read 5 words per minute. You get me? So it would decrease the behavior. That would be negative.
Okay.
But that's basically the only thing that I found. So then positive behavior contrast would be the opposite, where it would increase it in the other setting. So the other setting would be home, and in school, it's the true setting is in school, and then wherever else you're comparing it to is considered the other setting. You get it?
Yeah.
And I also see in the manual that behavior contrast is also a possible unwanted effect of punishment, extinction, and DRO in addition to reinforcement.
Okay, let me write that down. Say it again.
Behavior contrast, positive behavior contrast, is also a possible unwanted effect of punishment. Extinction, and DRO in addition to reinforcement.
Okay, that's good. Is there anything there on negative behavior contrast?
Which book are you reading, Jennifer?
Pass the big.
Okay.
Chapter 2, page 38 and 39.
Yes, made.
It decreases for less. I'm looking at it now. Give me a second.
That's okay.
Did you say page 38?
38, bottom of 38 and top of 39. So for negative, it says it decreases for a less favorable reinforcer after being exposed to a reinforcer that is clearly more favorable.
It decreases for a less favorable reinforcer, and then what?
After being exposed to a reinforcer that is clearly more favorable.
Perfect. Okay. All right, do you guys understand? Do you want to move on? Because that's pretty much it, what I found for behavior contrast, finding out the difference between both.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, let's move on to matching law. For E8, it says use the matching law and recognize factors influencing choice. I put an example of a client prioritizing their reinforcers by value. An example would be if a BCBA gives 20 minutes for free play during their break, maybe, and then Nana is it's not a real name. So Nana will play with a ball for 5 minutes, color for 5 minutes, color in a coloring book for 5 minutes, and then use her Barbies for 10. So she's splitting up her time by value. So that's how she's factoring and influencing her choices for the matching law. Oops. Okay. And then I also put BCBA must increase reinforcement quantity or quality when given client more demands to reach the matching law. So in other words, if you give your client more demands, you obviously have to increase the reinforcer. You can't expect that they're going to do 20 math problems on a worksheet if normally you give them 5 problems on a worksheet for the same reinforcer.
Right.
Right.
So you have to increase it. Okay. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Right. All right. So this one is arrange E9, arrange high probability request sequences, and then an AKA behavioral momentum. High P. Basically, I wrote this off the top of my head. You have to keep movement and flow going at a good pace with high P, mostly simple task and with occasional difficult tasks. So I've used this when I'm working with clients. Like, for example, if I'm giving flashcards that let's say I'm working on sight words, and I know, I usually break them up and say which ones do they know and which ones do they not know. And then if I know that they're having trouble with three words, then instead of moving on to the more difficult sight words, I focus on those 3 that they don't know, and I put them in 15 sight words that they do know. And then I'll just shuffle them up, and then I'll, drill them. That way they know they'll get stuck on that one, but then I'll prompt them, I'll support them, but I'll keep the pace going so that they feel that they're successful. That's why you have to get high probability. I would say like a 90% that's just my number. A high amount that they know and a low amount that they don't know. Just to keep the pace going.
My note I have from that color task list says, when introducing a new possibly difficult task to a client, be sure to lead with simple, more highly preferred tasks first. Yeah, to build that momentum.
Right. That's basically just to keep it flowing and make them feeling that they're successful. Right. That's it. All right, and then for Premack principle, use the Premack. I just put 2 visuals on here because I think that everybody as an RBT knows what the Premack principle is, but just to make it visual, because I'm a visual learner, I think it's real good to find things that you can see. So it's known as the grandma's law, AKA. And then first you eat a carrot, then you have dessert. That's pretty much what you do. And then in our field, in ABA, we pretty much use the first then board to represent the Premack principle. Any questions on that?
No.
All right. E11, use pairing procedures to establish new condition reinforcers and punishers. Okay, so this one I was stuck on. Everything else I pretty much knew, but this one I was stuck on. I just wrote real quickly what I knew about it, and I looked it up. So this is all I got. Conditioned, it's separated into 2, condition reinforcers and condition punishers. And then it says that condition reinforcers, it's in a reinforcer that you already have. And then condition punishers is something that's aversive that's already aversive. So I did this in my case. I was just texting Yanis Bell, and then I thought about what I had to write on here, because something that's reinforcing for me are YouTube videos. Like in ABA, if I want to find something out, I go to like Psycore, and I love his videos. I think they're super funny. He has so many visuals, and I learn, so that's reinforcing to me. So it's already reinforcing without even knowing that what I'm going to see, because he has hundreds of videos. I already know it's going to be reinforcing. Now, the BDS modules for me is a punisher, because just even thinking about the BDS modules makes me cringe. So I feel like a failure when I take the BDS modules. I don't even want to think about it. People talk about it and I'm like running away. So I don't want to even think about that. So this is what I'm thinking that this could relate to. Maybe that's a good example. Maybe it's not, but that's what I thought of. The first thing that came to my head when I was reading this was that, YouTube videos compared to BDS modules.
That's what I'm doing with you guys. I'm eating strawberries and cream. So I'm pairing with studying with something.
There you go. There you go.
So for condition reinforces, it has to be paired with something.
It's something, yes, it has to be paired, but it's something that's already paired. So like, for example, it's not the same to get praise from a teacher that you don't like than from a teacher that you do like. You get me? Because both of them are praise, but it's not the same because of what you're saying, because of the pairing. Because maybe you have a bad relationship with a teacher that enabled you not to enjoy praise from her. So it's not the same from a teacher that, you're always smiling with and having fun with her and all that, than a teacher that, who knows what, there's tons of kids that have problems with teachers. So it's a big difference. Even though it's the same reinforcer, it's which praise is reinforcing and which praise is not is a punisher.
Okay, I got you.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that you want to change up your condition punisher, right? Which is the BDS module. And you want to make it, you would pair it with the condition reinforcer, like the YouTube videos from Psych. So you would say, first I watch Psych, then I do the BDS module. Like I try to pair them. So maybe the BDS modules are less of a punisher. Is that correct to say, or is that incorrect to say?
I don't know how you would do that. Does anybody have any ideas on how you would do that?
Because, for example, me, when I started doing the studying for the actual test, I would start getting, like massive migraines. So I started pairing with something fun. Just,
Right.
Something, going to Starbucks or drinking a coffee, then putting music, then this group and stuff like that. So eventually the studying, became less punishing.
Right.
But I want to know, am I talking about the same thing that you're talking? That's my question.
I feel like until it actually becomes a reinforcer for you,
Mm-hmm.
it's still a punisher. So I think what you're talking about now is pairing. You're using like a neutral stimulus to pair it together to become, so you're on the process. It's possible, but until it actually becomes reinforcing for you, it's not a reinforcer.
Right. No. I think I understand what you're trying to say, Yanis Bell, but I think that the BDS modules would, unless it's
Always.
something that, no, well, what I'm trying to say is, unless it's something that's motivating for me, or it's something that I feel successful, because those are the two things that make BDS modules punishing. I don't feel successful. I feel like a failure. And I also don't feel motivated. So since I have those two things going on, then it makes it a punisher. So how would I make it a reinforcer? I don't think that pairing it would make it a reinforcer. Okay.
Unless it can be paired to the point where, you feel successful about it. And
right, exactly. Right.
So
success rate to be higher, you have the reinforcing of being successful
Mm-hmm.
faster than you do. And I feel the exact same way you're describing.
Right, right.
Rate of success, I'm not contacting that reinforcing success, frequent enough.
Right.
Because I'm like, just miss it by a little bit to meet that 100. So
Right.
I feel like the whole thing is a failure. Yeah.
Right. And look, something to me that's reinforcing is this group. This group to me is reinforcing because I look forward to these meetings. I finish everything I have to do as fast as I can so that I can look forward to this meeting at 10 o'clock. And I try to go to as many meetings as I can. And my husband thinks I'm crazy, but I don't care. It's reinforcing for me, and I need to learn this, and I need to pass my exam. So it's reinforcing for me to attend. Right.
So what kind of condition motivator is that, Daymi?
Passing the exam. Condition reinforcer.
So which one of the categories is it?
CMO?
Surrogate. Is it?
You think it's surrogate?
Surrogate? Why surrogate?
Yeah, why surrogate?
You said, what's she paying? What
I think it's reflexive.
Yeah, it should be CMOR because it is worsening, and when something is worsening, so it should go to CMOR.
You know what's the funny part? That we're gonna take a Cooper quiz on that. On motivating operators.
Wow, very reinforcing, Daymi. Very reinforcing.
Yeah.
I want some ice cream after this.
There you go. All right. So next thing is errorless learning. Errorless learning is most to least prompting, and it's usually effective for young learners, and it helps them learning by being successful. So pretty much errorless learning is you give them the demand, you prompt them the correct response before they get it wrong. So you don't allow them to get it wrong, you stop them. So if either it's verbal or physical prompt, it doesn't matter. You're just gonna stop them before. So I think Daphne was the one that said it, that like you say, what's your name? And let's say they don't know their name, or let's say they're learning to talk. You just say, what's your name? Daphne. And then you automatically say the name without allowing them to say anything at all. So you answer their question for them. And then little by little, they learn that, and they see your response of saying, oh, good job, you said Daphne, ah. And then they're like, wow, I didn't say anything, but still, she's making a big deal out of it. So let me do it next time. So eventually they'll get it. Like I had a client that loved to say tickles, but it was because I would say tickle, 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 and I would tickle, and they got it so quick. And that was one of the first words, tickle, tickle. So hey, better than nothing. The mom wants parents want mommy and mama, but tickle's good for me if you got something.
Any talk is better than no talk.
Exactly. All right, and then I have a visual there of the difference of error correction and errorless learning, because I don't remember what Zoom it was that someone was asking the difference between them. So just error correction is just basically they get it wrong. So you give them a demand, they get it wrong, and then you give them the demand again, and then you give them the answer. So it's kind of like errorless learning, just that you're going to give them a chance to answer before you give them the answer. It just has an extra step. That's all it is. All right. Does anybody have any questions? I can move on.
For error correction, you only give them one chance?
You give them one chance, right? So you say, what's your name? And then let's say they say Pablo, but their name is Robert. And you say, what's your name? So you say it again. You don't say no, you don't say you don't say nothing. You just say, what's your name? And then the second time you say, what's your name? Then you say, Robert.
Okay.
Then, you're giving them the answer. It's kind of like errorless learning. You're just giving them a chance to say the answer.
One chance. Okay, got it.
One chance, just one chance.
Because they should already know, right? It should already be.
They should know it. But at times they do get it wrong. So you're just going to give them that chance to get it wrong, because they should get it right. Okay, moving on. Matching to sample. I put a visual. So it's used for teaching verbal behavior. I didn't know that. I found that on the BAS. But like I said, I like Psychor. So he said that he likes to show, give an example of a pigeon seeing a triangle. And you can look at the YouTube, it's online. It's a pigeon seeing a triangle, and they put the triangle there for a little while. Then they put the screen to black, and then they show two triangles. One's green and one's blue. The green one was the original one that the pigeon saw, but not the blue one. Okay, so for example, like you're seeing the blue rectangle and the green triangle and the green rectangle. The pigeon saw the blue one on the bottom. Then he would have to match blue and blue. And that's the only way they can get a reinforcer, by matching the exact same shape and color. But I don't know how that would be related to verbal behavior. I found that on the BAS task list. Does anybody know how that can be related to verbal behavior?
Not me.
No, I'm gonna write that down because I want to look further into that.
I think maybe that has to do with when you're trying a child to use words to communicate, not just demanding, but verbal communication. And I'm drawing a blank here. You would not allow them to make that mistake. So, for instance, if I want if I have a kid that's using a PEGS, but it's also being paired with, with vocalization, you would make sure that when they're saying it, you correct them, or you don't allow them to make that mistake. So for instance, if they're gonna select from the PEGS and you have distractors on it, which many kids do, you would, kind of block them and make sure that when they are selecting the card, you're making sure they're selecting the card you want them to select, and you're also verbalizing, that you're vocalizing, I should say, that the word. So if you're saying open instead of help, or water, that if you have it as a distractor, that you block and then you say open, and that you prompt them to say that expression, so you're keeping them from making that mistake.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Because we have a client like that she can vocalize, can do, won't do kind of thing, but the times that she attempts to vocalize anything, we make sure that we do the error correction, so the next time she knows and she doesn't have that excuse, I guess.
Okay.
Saying it correctly, so you try to do that errorless.
So it's kind of like errorless and matching to sample, both at the same. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Next one. Okay.
What I have never seen is that free operant. At least not for me. It has not been my experience. You've never used that. So.
The free operant with?
Example. Like
okay.
Yeah. Like one of them is the free operant example. You display 50 picture cards on a table face up, another deck of the same pictures in one pile face down. You ask the child to flip over one card at a time and find the cards match. I've never done that.
No. What I have used, and it seemed to me like it was similar, was when we do stimulus generalization, and we have the children match, but that's not matching to sample. Like if I have a toy dog, and then I have a dog on a flashcard, like a picture of a dog, and I tell them match, and they match the toy with the card. And I have them match the toy car with the card of the car, and they match. But that's generalization. That's not matching to sample. That's why when I first saw this, they said I heard a Zoom, I don't remember which one it was, but I remember hearing someone say something about it's kind of like playing matching, like a regular matching game with kids. And you were saying, Nadia, that there's a lot of cards where they have to match.
You're right.
But I've never seen that before, right?
I've seen the match the sample, but not the free operant.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I have 8 minutes. I think that I should just log out and log back in because I want to really go over the Cooper quiz.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
Same number, right?
The Cooper quiz is chapter 16.
Okay, but I'm saying the same number for the Zoom.
No, I'm going to do a new one. Just wait in the chat.
Okay.